Yes, good morning everyone. Am I audible? Am I visible to all of you? Hello, hello, hello. Am I audible? Am I visible to all of you? Yes, everyone. Am I audible, visible to all of you? Good morning everyone. As there is network issue at my place, so there is a problem and sorry for inconvenience for that. Just a moment. I'm not able to see the live chats. Yes, yes. Now am I audible, visible to all of you, and I'm able to see all of you. Yes, Akshay, good morning. Preeti, good morning. Nilesh, Ashwini. Yes, thank you for being patient. As internet problem is at my place, so that's why it was not possible for me to connect with you. So, good morning, everyone. Yes, those who are new here, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Harshvardhan Singh, and on this platform, I'm going to teach you history, economics, and international relation, and history optional. I have 8-year experience of civil services examination as an educator. Earlier, I was selected as an intelligence bureau officer. Those who haven't taken subscription of Unacademy, I insist you to have a subscription of it. It is one of the best platform available at your doorstep. So please have it. And we have option of 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. So I insist you to have a subscription of 12 month, either of plus or iconic, but I insist you to take the iconic subscription because here we are going to provide each and everything to you, including personal feedback, study plan, and etc. And whenever you want to take the subscription, use my code HARSHV10 so that it will give you 10% benefit. Along with that, you will count as my students. Okay. So, quick recap of last lecture. What we have discussed in the last lecture. So, in the last lecture, we discussed about fascism. Yes, we discussed about fascism. In that, we mentioned how Mussolini gradually formed corporate state. Yes, so in that first we mentioned foundation of fascist party, vigorous propaganda. Yes, formation of fascist party, vigorous propaganda, and that propaganda was based on two factors. We mentioned anti-socialism and and second was radical nationalism. Yes. So these were the two important aspects of his propaganda. So through this, by first aspect, he wore the capitalists. By second aspect, he wore the common masses. When election took place, his party gets elected at many places. His members are elected in the assembly. But there was a situation of anarchy, and finally, king asked Mussolini to be a prime minister, and he became prime minister in 1922. We mentioned in last class. Then we mentioned that is Mussolini became prime minister. Then we mentioned 1925 onwards, once he consolidated his position, he started introducing reforms. First, we mentioned that fascist labor union, fascist labor union. The fascist labor union was given a sole authority to negotiate on all the labor contracts. So basically, gradually, he is curtailing the rights of people. Then we mentioned national syndicate. Yes, national syndicate. We mentioned that why it was so and all we discussed in the last lecture. Those who are new here and those who haven't seen that lecture, so please, I insist you to watch the recording of that lecture so that you will get the better idea. Then we mentioned about charter. The labor charter was there. So gradually, one by one, step by step, he started capturing the Italian administrative system. Clear? And then we mentioned in 1939 how he ended the political system, and established corporate state. Clear? So this point we discussed in the last lecture. Along with that, one more point we discussed in the last lecture, and that is related with the similarities and differences. Yes, similarities and differences between fascism and Nazism. Yes, yes, Supriya, good morning. So, yesterday I mentioned differences between fascism and Nazism, and I asked you to find out the similarities between the both. It was your task, and I hope you made some efforts to find out the similarities between fascism and Nazism. In the differences, we mention many aspects. That first example, blood and soil. The policy of blood and soil was present in Nazism, but it was absent in fascism. Second, special status is given to the peasantry in Nazism. It was absent in fascism. Third, what we mentioned, anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism. It was a policy, common policy, means targeting one particular group. It was a policy of Nazism, but it wasn't a policy of fascism till 1938. Okay. Then another aspect we mention in the dissimilarities, that is the fourth point, that is fascism is deal with the church and religion. It was there in fascism only. It was absent in Nazism. Then we mention about corporate state. This idea was basically a fascist idea. It was not there in Nazism. Another point we mention, that is Nazism more brutal. More brutal. Clear? So all these points we mentioned in the last lecture. Now, one step ahead of it, as we discussed the Nazism, we discussed the fascism, we discussed the fascist doctrine. Clear? Now, the another aspect of it, and that is we mentioned, that leads to the Second World War, invasion of Poland, and that leads to Second World War. Now we are going to discuss what were the factors responsible for it, what are the causes of it, impact of it, all these things we are going to discuss in this lecture. Now, factors responsible for Second World War. Yes. So before I tell you the factors responsible for First World War, I'm asking you a very basic question. Please tell me, what do you think? What were the factors responsible for Second World War? Yes, the question is that, and then we are going to discuss, don't worry. But I want to ask you so that you can use your brain. What do you think? What were the factors responsible for Second World War? Hmm. Yes, everyone. This question is open for all, and you heard it very well. So I'm expecting an answer from you. What do you think? And why I ask this question, that is also important thing, because because this type of question doesn't require a specialized knowledge. Any person is having common sense can answer this question. Okay? Hmm. Yes, everyone. Yes, Ashwini, Akshay, Preeti, Supriya, Nilesh. Yes, Payas. Hmm. I'm expecting an answer from you. Is that so difficult to answer? Akshay said Hitler's expansionist mindset. Okay, means can we say the aggressive policy? Right or wrong doesn't matter. Whatever you are going to say, I'm going to write here, and then we are going to discuss, and then we are going to find out whatever you said it was there or not. Yes, Sanjani, good morning. Yes. So first point you mentioned aggressive policy of Hitler. Okay. Is that the only reason responsible for World War II? Whenever, means basically whenever you are appearing for civil services examination, and if anybody asks you the question related to the impact or responsibility or anything, always think at least in three dimensions. These three, and remember this thing, this is very important for you. These three dimensions are basically political, social, and economic. Nilesh said economic depression. Okay. Yes, Ashwini said the same thing. Economic depression. Okay. Yes, go ahead. Nilesh said anti-communism. Okay. So Nilesh, I ask you the same question. Means you mentioned anti-communism. So how it is responsible? Please explain it. Yes, Ashwini. Treaty impact of Treaty of Versailles. Okay. Fifth, you mentioned, yes, Nilesh mentioned policy of appeasement. Okay. Yes, failure of League of Nations. Yes, rise of fascism. Okay, good. Rise of militarism means you want to say armament race. Okay, I'm really surprised. Yes, good, good, good. Now you get it. What were the factors responsible for it? So, what you mentioned, the aggressive policy adopted by Hitler, economic depression, anti-communism, okay, then Treaty of Versailles, policy of appeasement, failure of League of Nations, then rise of fascism, armament race, and all. Okay, let's check whether whatever you said is right or wrong. Preeti said impact of Treaty of Versailles, failure of League of Nations, rise of fascism, Nazism, economic depression. Preeti gave answer in one go. Good. So let's check whatever you said, it's there or not. Okay. So factors responsible for Second World War. First, attitude of victors at Treaty of Versailles. How? How this point is important, how this is an important factor, how it is important factor for Second World War. You know that these victors, what they want? They want weak Germany. Yes, what they want? They want weak Germany at all cost. Yes, and how it is possible? So they impose the Treaty of Versailles over Germany, and attitude of victors at Versailles means they want weak Germany, and they are guided by selfish interest. Yes, they are guided by the selfish interest. Instead of weakening Germany, they basically humiliated Germany. Along with that, they destroyed its ability to rose to the power. Yes, yes, everyone. Yes, you're listening Swachh Bharat movement with me. So extremely sorry for that as well, because such type of disturbance is always there in India, and still we are saying no to sound pollution. Yes. So attitude of victors at Treaty of Versailles, they want weak Germany, selfish interest was there, they humiliated Germany, they destroy its unity, ability to start from fresh. Means how it is they destroy its ability. They've taken away their fertile provinces, they've taken away their industrial area, they've taken away their mining area. So that's why such type of attitude they adopted. Clear? So, because of that reason, there was a discontent among Germany. Germany was vanquished in that, and this leads to a feeling of revenge. Germany wants to take revenge after that. Clear? So, it was a first factor responsible for Second World War. That is, attitude of victors at Versailles. At Versailles, sorry. Next, aggressive nationalism of Germany. That is also is responsible. Aggressive nationalism, as Nilesh mentioned this point, aggressive nationalism of Hitler. Aggressive nationalism means Hitler's this what he said that he want to make Germany great again. He want to establish the third reach, that is third great empire. And how it is possible to establish the third great empire by policy of expansion. And his idea was basically Germany is for Germans. Means wherever the Germans are present, Germany is for there. Means Germans are living in Poland, so that portion of Poland is a part of Germany. If Germans are present in Czechoslovakia, that part also be part of Germany. So such type of expansionist policy, a radical nationalism was there in Germany. Aggressive nationalism of Germany. And this radical nationalism having a false pride, and this false pride that leads to jingoism or chauvinism. Clear? So that is also responsible for it. And Treaty of Versailles, this Treaty of Versailles added fuel in that. Yes, Treaty of Versailles added fuel in that. Next, rise of fascism in Italy. Rise of fascism in Italy is also responsible for it, because rise of dictator, it is symbolized as rise of dictator, and Italy also followed the policy of expansion. Yes, and you know that these two countries, these two countries were latecomer in the race of colonization, expansion. So now they claim that it's their time to expand their territory, as Britain and France already expanded their territory. Now they said that it's our time. So they followed the policy of expansion, and both the countries having same attitude towards expansion. Clear? Next, third important, Japanese imperialism. Japan was not far behind that. Japan is also part of it. Japanese imperialism, and how it is so Japan target the nearing area. For example, Korea, they targeted China. Yes, they captured it and tried to impose Japanese imperialism to them. And the very best example is expansion of Japan in Southeast Asia. Yes, so that is also the reason responsible. And you know that Japan bombarded Pearl Harbor of USA. Clear? So this is the expansionist policy adopted by Germany, Italy, Japan. Along with that, the attitude of democratic country was also not good at the time of Versailles. Next, dissatisfaction of national minorities. So these 4 points you already mentioned. Yes, you already mentioned all these 4 points. They are present there. But this point is new. This point is new. Yes. What do you think? What it means, dissatisfaction of national minorities? Dissatisfaction of national minorities means what? Any guess from your side? Yes, is there any guess from your side? I'm waiting for your answer. Yes, all of you, I'm waiting for your answer. Any guess? Yes. Go ahead. What do you think? Dissatisfaction of national minorities. No guess at all? Yes, everyone. What Ashwini said, race purity fight was there. Nope, nope. Dissatisfaction of national minorities. This point is new. So this is important. Hmm. Yes, think about it. What exactly means this national minority concept is there? Yes. Any guess? Or shall I explain? If you are not in a position to decipher it, then please let me know. I'm going to explain what exactly dissatisfaction. Narendra Kumar, sir, by British colonization, minorities emerged. It is not the case. Narendra, please remember, minority, it doesn't mean religious minority. Minority is having different dimension. For example, linguistic minority is there. And you know what? In India, there is Linguistic Minority Commission. Yes, in India also, Linguistic Minority Commission is there. So minority can be linguistic, religious, ethnic. Clear? So it is not at all related with that. Akshay said, is there any friendship between Hitler and Mussolini? Yes, of course. Pact of Steel, Rome-Berlin Axis. Is they plan together about expansionist policy because they rise together and leads to Second World War? Yes, it was there, but this pact was emerged after 1936. As we mentioned in the last lecture, means during the Nazism, Nazi Party of Austria tried to coup in 1934, and at that time we mentioned that Italy suppressed that coup. Mussolini sent the troops to suppress it. So at that time in 1934 they didn't know about each other, means the madness of each other. But after 1936 they came close to each other. Rome Berlin Axis is the best example of that. And finally in 1938 they signed Pact of Steel, non-corrosive. Okay, Nilesh said, sir, please explain. Okay, no problem. So, dissatisfaction of national minorities means, as you know, there is the emergence of concept of nation state. Yes, this concept of nation state is there. Means on the basis of language or on the basis of ethnicity, you're going to form a nation state. But what happened? Redistribution of territories. Means after First World War, redistribution of territories were there. How? We gave you the example that Germany's areas given to the neighboring state, they form the nation state. For example, we mentioned the Poland. Poland, this country is of Polish people. This established after First World War. Then we mentioned Yugoslavia. So this Poland is for Polish people, but as well as Germans were there. Germans were there. And you know what? Germany became a nation state on the basis of language. German wants to be part of Germany. So when First World War ended, earlier this was a Germany, means before 1914 suppose. So after 1919, Germany was like this. One area is given to Poland, one area is given to Czechoslovakia, one area is given to France. Clear? So that they weaken it. And I gave you just example of Germany. It is not just restricted or limited with the Germany. This is common everywhere. A nationality, a German national, Italian national, or all these nationals are divided among the different states, and it hurted the idea of nation state. So that's why dissatisfaction of national minorities means, let's take example, Those Germans are living in Poland. Do you really think so? They are happy in Poland? Yes, my question to you. What do you think? Those Germans after First World War living in Poland were happy. Yes, everyone. What do you think? Yes. I'm expecting answer from you. What do you think? Those Germans who are living in Poland were happy or not? What do you think? Or the German people living in France right now were happy? Yes or no? No answer from your side. Why you're too slow? Yes, everyone? Yes, Preeti said no. They are not satisfied. Of course not. Let's take your example. As you are the part of India and you are a citizen of India and you think you belong here, and if somebody gave your territory to China and from next day you are Chinese citizen, are you going to satisfy yourself? Are you going to be happy in that area? Of course not. This was a dissatisfaction among the national minorities. National minority, this word belongs to nationalism and linguistic minority. Yes, of course, they were minority in Poland and they were not high. And it is not question of minority and all. It is a question of nationalism. And they formed their own country, nation state. It was a dream, I mentioned lots of time. It was a dream. And because of that efforts, they fulfilled that dream. And now, after fulfilling everything, again they said, no, no, this dream is not true. You're not belonging here. Get out. Yes, so this was the problem. Yes, Rajkumar, good morning. Because of linguistically, they were Germans and they too felt humiliation as well as sin. Yes, exactly. Now you get it. Yes, yes, yes. Now you get it. Whatever I'm said, you get it. Yes, Supriya, mm, PDF right now is not available. It is there on slides. Next, next. So, first 4 points you mentioned, fifth point I mentioned. Clear? Next, Great Economic Depression is also important factor for Second World War. Factors responsible for Second World War. How? We mentioned this Great Economic Depression leads to frustration. Leads to frustration, joblessness, unemployment, and after that, what happened after that? When country want to revive their economy, when country want to revive their economy, they started focusing on weapons, arms and ammunition. Means when they want to revive their economy, they focuses on defense sector, defense manufacturing second, and that leads to increase in the production of weapon. And this point is also related with this point. And when they want to revive the economy, they focus on defense manufacturing. And when they're manufacturing more number of defense equipment, it is a failure of disarmament, because when they started producing more weapons, what happened here? That leads to armament race, and this armament race creates environment of suspicion. And you know that suspicion is very dangerous thing. Clear? Is that clear to all of you? Yes. Great economic depression leads to frustration. This frustration is emerge in the form of dictators. We mentioned how dictators emerge. I mentioned frustration, when the nation is in frustrated mood, when they lost the hope. These people are there to provide hope for this hopeless people. Clear? And they made lofty promises, and the resultant of that, you know what happened in history. And this can be happen in present, and this will be there in future as well, because these are the universal principle, you cannot change it. Next, failure of League of Nations. Yes, everyone, this point you mentioned, this point you also mentioned, and this point you also mentioned. So see how smart you are. You require just a fine touch up, that's it. Okay? And that's why I'm here. Failure of League of Nations, how it is responsible. What's the responsibility of League of Nations? League of Nations is there to establish peace, but they failed to do that. Along with that, when League of Nations was established, at that time they didn't allow Germany to be part of it. The second thing, USA didn't join. USA didn't join. Germany was not given membership. Along with that, League of Nations failed to provide collective security. Failed to provide collective security. How it is so? Let me explain. Very best example of it. That is Japanese invasion in Manchuria. Manchuria was a Chinese territory. Japan invaded, Japan occupied it. Don't you think it's a failure of League of Nations when you are there to establish peace? What Ashwini said, League of Nations was not successful in full. Yes, exactly. Japanese invasion in Manchuria. League of Nations was there to establish peace. Collective security principle is there. Yes, but that resulted into failure. They didn't stop Japan. They didn't stop Japan because they were not in a position. When League of Nations, another important aspect, when League of Nations imposed economic sanctions over the offender country, at the same time other countries didn't follow. Means when League of Nations said we have to impose economic sanctions so that we can curb the aggressiveness of that country. Other countries were reluctant to it. They said that no, no, we have vested interest in that and we cannot do that. It's a very, what we can say, mm, it's not good for our trade relationship with that country. So we are not going to impose. So what's the use of that? League of Nations was not a belonging of any particular country. It is a representative of all these countries. And body, if the master body is not in a position to implement their basic things, then how it is possible to curb the expansionist policy? So failure of League of Nations is important. This is the first example I mentioned. The second example is related to Ethiopia. Italy invaded that. Italy invaded Ethiopia, and at that time also League of Nations was not in a position to tackle or to stop Italy. Another example I just want to share with you, and that is we already discussed that. Which one? Germany repudiate Treaty of Versailles. Clear? So these all would what Akshay said. Woodrow Wilson play any role in that? Yes, of course. He was a saintly figure. He played important role in formation of League of Nations, but USA didn't took part because USA is having different political structure, administrative structure there. Whatever the decision taken by president, they have to take consent from their houses, and their houses refuse to give such consent. Clear? So these are the example, and one more example if I want to give you. The another example is related to Spanish Civil War. Yes, this is another example of it. Spanish Civil War. In the Spanish Civil War, what we mentioned, on one side communist government was there, on other side radical nationalist Franco was there. Franco was supported by these fascist forces. Communist government was supported by Russia. So the war was there, but still League of Nations failed to do that. And when this upper body failed to tackle such problem, it boosted the confidence of aggressive states. Means it is just like, if I want to explain with the simple word, it is just like that. If you beat someone in your childhood, if you beat someone and your parents said that it's okay, they just neglected it, then it will boost your confidence. You're going to beat another person. Yes, and still they neglected that, then your confidence is like nobody can stop me. So such type of attitude developed if a parental body is not going to stop anyone on time. Clear? So is that clear to all of you? Yes, is there any question to or query related to these 3 points? Great economic depression, failure of disarmament, failure of League of Nations. Yes, is there any question? Any query? If you have, please let me know. Then ideological differences. Ideological differences. How this ideological differences was there? This ideology was divided into two: capitalist and communist. Yes, I'm talking about, this is the pre World War II condition. How smart you are! I just want to praise all of you. You never have any doubt. Really, I'm really, what we can say, feel proud that I got the students like you who are so smart that with small explanation you get everything. I'm really fortunate to have you. And one more thing, it is not a sarcastic statement. I'm really feeling good. Okay. Now, capitalist and communist. How these ideological differences were there in pre-Second World War. And along with that, one more ideological difference. This is the first case. The second ideological difference was there between democratic and fascist. This ideological differences also played important role. So, as first we are going to mention the democratic versus fascist approach. How these ideological differences were there. This fascist forces means they said that their idea is best idea. How? National pride, national pride, yes. Then radical nationalism, clear. Fascist idea was very clear. They have a national pride, they followed the policy of expansion, and the basis of that idea is radical nationalism. They opposes this fascist ideology, they opposes democracy. According to them, democracy is a vestige of time. Clear? So their ideology was different. And democratic, they were having different version. How? They considered that initially they considered the fascists are going to end communist. Initially what they want fascists to end communist. So they didn't pay that much attention. Second, as too much democratic were there, they considered there was the injustice with Germany or with these states. So it's their rightful demand. It's their rightful demand. So this difference of approach was there, and because of this injustice, the theory of injustice, this democratic state followed the policy of appeasement. Clear? Because of this injustice theory, they followed the policy of appeasement. That is the first difference. Yes. Yes, everyone. Okay. Now we are going to discuss capitalist versus communist approach in pre-World War II. Capitalists were having prejudices. Capitalists were having prejudices with the communists. How? Because capitalists were having anti-communist ideology. Capitalists were having fear that communist is going to end communist is going to end capitalism. Clear? Capitalists were having prejudices with communists, so that's why they adopted anti-communist approach. What they thought, communism is going to end the capitalism, so it is a question mark over their existence. So for that reason they kept a safe distance from communist country. And very important example, even Britain and USA recognized Russia in decade of 1930s. Just imagine, they had a formation of state in 1917, Russian state, communist state in 1917, and they recognized in 30s. So this shows their attitude. Communist, their of course their ideology is basically establishment of equality, but later on they adopted a approach of communism, and in that leads to dictatorship. Yes, initially they adopted approach of equality, but later on that leads to the dictatorship, and they were anti-capitalist, just like capitalists were anti-socialist or anti-communist. So their idea is also different. And what happened because of these ideological differences? It provided the fertile ground. This ideological differences provided best ground for fascist forces to expand. Fascist forces to expand. Clear, everyone? Best ground for fascist forces to expand, because capitalist and communists, they don't have a collaboration. They didn't realize that it is a real threat. And one more thing, one more point I just want to mention in the capitalist, that is the fourth point where I have to mention. Okay, here I'm going to mention this point. The fourth point, same here, that is fourth point, capitalist wants fascist to end communist. They thought that fascism is basically against communism. First we allow them to end communism, and once they ended communism, it's very easy for us to end fascism. They thought that, they underestimated the, what we can say, dangerous aspect of fascism. Clear? Next, the attitude of Western powers towards Russia. That is also important. As we already explained how they are having attitude with Russia. It was not good. They didn't recognize for Russia. They always have a suspicious nature related to Russia in terms of international relation. And because of that reason, when Hitler followed the expansionist policy and Russia realizes that Hitler is not a good person, he is going to follow policy of expansion all over. When the Western forces followed the policy of appeasement, Russia didn't follow that, but they kept waiting. Russia kept waiting for collaboration with the Western power, and when they failed to do that, what Russia did? Russia signed a non-aggression pact with Germany. This was also important attitude when you realizes that Hitler or this fascist forces are not going to stop, so collaborative efforts was required. But at that time, victors were on different mode. They didn't consider Russia is going to play important role, so they negated the role of Russia, and this is also important factor. Later on they realized this, but it was too late. Clear? Sorry. Next important aspect is, that is policy of appeasement, and yesterday only we mentioned how policy of appeasement responsible for Second World War. Policy of appeasement was basically giving boost or gave support to Hitler to follow the policy of expansion. And they were having three things in the policy of appeasement. The first important factor, that is, nobody wants war. So no war time was there. Don't want war. Second important thing, economic depression was there. Clear? It was a time. Third important thing, that is injustice. Theory of injustice was there. Injustice made with Italy and Germany. Now they are going to take the territory. And the fourth important point in the policy of appeasement, that is their vested interest. And that vested interest we already discussed. That is to end communism with help of fascism. Sorry. So these are the four aspects of policy of appeasement. Is that clear to all of you? Clear how it is responsible? Because policy of appeasement boosted the confidence, boosted the confidence of fascist forces. Yeah, it is just like your example. When you beat someone, your parents are not going to say anything, then it boosts your confidence. But once your parents slap you or scold you, to some extent, you're not going to repeat that activity. But here they fail to do that. Is that clear to all of you? Yes, everyone. Is that clear to you? Yes, everyone. Is that clear to you, all of you? Yes, any question, any doubt, any query? Yes, any question, any doubt, any query? Yes, it is clear to all of you. Next. Next aspect, Treaty of Versailles and Second World War. The relationship between Treaty of Versailles and Second World War. It is said that in history that seeds of Second World War sown in Treaty of Versailles, or the loopholes in the Treaty of Versailles that leads to Second World War. So this statement can be reframed in any manner, but it shows that there is a relation between Treaty of Versailles and Second World War. So here we are going to explain one by one. First thing, Treaty of Versailles was a dictated treaty. As I mentioned lots of time, what is the purpose of treaty? Treaty's purpose is to establish peace. And when you are appearing for treaty, then what is required? Openness. Clear? You have to provide means opportunity to both, whether you are a victor or loser, you have to provide them opportunity. Treat the loser with the dignity, because if you are not going to provide dignity to them, then it will be a dangerous thing. Why? Because they are going to feel humiliated or cheated or get hurted. Clear? So, as I mentioned about this any treaty, this is required. And as I mentioned that even the losers were having stake in that, they should give the opportunity to present their case. But it didn't happen in Treaty of Versailles. Treaty of Versailles was a forceful treaty over Germany. As for example, if you do not want to eat anything, so whatever maybe I'm going to present in front of you, and I ask you, have it. You're not going to have it because your appetite is full. You don't want to eat. But if somebody force you, then you're going to resist. But if somebody tied your hands and legs, even close your nose, and that's why you have to open your mouth and then they feed the food. Do you really think so you're going to enjoy that food? Do you really like that? No, because it is a forceful thing. Nobody like force. Either you're human or you are animal. Nobody like force. So it was the same case. It was a dictated. Means here Germany is not consulted. Victors ordered that, and because of that dictation was there, Germany was dissatisfied. Germany was dissatisfied. So that's the reason they sign it, because they don't have a choice at that time. Clear? But it was not a willful signature, it was a forceful signature. Next, it was a humiliating treaty for Germany. Why? Because declared Germany declared a war guilty state. And they said that Germany is responsible, sole responsible for war. Yes, they said that Germany sole responsible for that war, and they crippled Germany. They crippled Germany in all the aspects, whether political, whether social, or anything. They just crippled, humiliated, and as I mentioned, they even didn't provide chairs to sit while signing the treaty. So that's a humiliation, national humiliation for them. So because of these two things, Germans, German nationalism, the pride, German nationalistic pride gets hurted, and the concept of revenge was there with them. Yes, they want to take the revenge of this humiliation. Next, harsh terms and conditions of the treaty is also responsible. Means, as I mentioned, German population were divided. Means Germans geographical division was there. Some part is given to one particular country, another particular country. Even their colonies were taken away, their fertile land tracts were taken away, and all. So these were the harsh conditions. That is also responsible. Next, it was a revengeful treaty, and we just mentioned how they are going to take the revenge because it was humiliation for them. So it was a revengeful treaty for them. And another important aspect, that is, it was a one-sided treaty. It was imposed, this one-sided treaty imposed by victors over Germany. Yes, it was a one-sided treaty and it was imposed by victors over Germany. So treat the relation of Treaty of Versailles and World War II. Basically, it was dictated peace, humiliating treaty for Germany, harsh terms and conditions of the treaty, and it was a revengeful treaty and one-sided treaty. Is that clear? Next, the events that leads to Second World War. Events that leads to Second World War. We already discussed such type of events in the First World War. How? In the First World War, do you remember Moroccan crisis, Austrian annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina? Then we mentioned Second Moroccan crisis, Balkan War, Second Balkan War, and all. Yes, so such type of events were also present in the Second World War, And the first event is related to Manchuria. That is, in 1931, Japan invaded China. So this is a clearly suggestive that fascist forces adopted expansionist policy, but policy of appeasement was on work. So that's why they didn't interfere. Western world victor countries didn't interfere in that. They gave free hand to this fascist powers. Second, Germany's policies in 1935-36. How it is so? We mentioned repudiation of Treaty of Versailles. Second, we mentioned second was mentioned in, yes, what was the second thing? Naval Pact with Britain, Rome-Berlin Axis, etc. And one more thing, Spanish Civil War. So this events happened during this time. Narendra, we already discussed what are the important things in that treaty in the lecture of Rise of Nazism. So please go and watch that lecture so that you will get the exact idea. Here I am not going to explain each and every point right now. So in that lecture I already discussed everything in detail. Yes. So the Germany's policy in 1936, 35-36, that also responsible, because here it directly show that they adopted approach of expansion. One more point I just want to mention here that is militarization of Rhineland. So this all are suggestive of expansion policy of Germany, but still League of Nations and Western countries acted like they are not aware of it. Yes. Next, Ethiopia in 1936. As Ethiopia was an independent country at that time, but Italy was in late in the race of colonization. So Italy wants it. And Italy invaded Ethiopia in 1936. This is also sheer example of expansionist policy adopted by fascist forces, but no. League of Nations and Western worlds kept mum. They didn't say anything, and this encouraged the fascist forces to continue their policy of expansion. Next, Spanish Civil War 36 to 39. This civil war, as I mentioned, was a dress rehearsal of Second World War. Because Italy and Germany supported the Spanish radical nationalist General Franco, and with help of their help, communist government was not in position to tackle even the communist government supported by Russia. It was a case at that time, but this also shows that this fascist forces also intervene in those areas where they find like-minded people. Clear? Marco Polo Bridge is another event in that. This Marco Polo Bridge is near Beijing. Near Beijing, no, spelling something is different. I just instead of that, Peking is also good. Peking is a Chinese name of Beijing. So near Beijing means here the Japan attacked China. This is a clear-cut indication that they are following the policy of expansion. We have to do something, but they were not doing anything. So event one by one, it gave boost to the fascist forces. Ne Anschluss. This is the pronunciation. Maybe it might be different because it is a German pronunciation. What it means, that is annexation of Austria by Germany. And why they annexed Austria? Yes, a very common question, very simple question I ask to you. What do you think? Why they annexed Austria? As you know that Hitler, what he said, that Hitler said that he wants to make Germany great nation again. For that, his concept of Third Reich was there. Third Great Empire was there. Then why they annexed Austria? What do you think? Why they annexed Austria? Hmm. What do you think? Why they annexed Austria? Yes, resources rich country. That's why. Okay. Hmm. Yes, go on. Go on, everyone. Akshay, don't know. Hmm. Yes, what about others? Narendra Kumar, Preeti, Nilesh. Yes, Bhanupriya. I'm expecting answer from you. Go ahead. What do you think? Why they annexed Austria? Expansionist approach. Okay. As Germany lost it in First World War. Nilesh, it was not the case. Germany and Austria fought the First World War together. Clear? And Treaty of Versailles imposed restriction that you are not going to have friendship with Austria in future because your two friends are very dangerous for us. Hmm. Thus Germany wanted to regain it back. Very simple, very simple. What Hitler said, what he want third great empire. This empire is for Germany, is for Germans. And who are the Germans? Who speaks German as their language? And you know which language Austria speaks? German. What he want? He want third great empire. Germany is for German and Austria speaks German language. So they had said that you are fake identity. You have a fake identity. Why you are still in existence? There is no scope for you right now. Only scope is nation state. So this is a fake identity. You have to be part of R. They annexed it. Clear? And why other countries kept mum? It is a simple thing, because he said that the concept of nationalism is there, that those who belongs to that particular language or ethnicity should be part of that. So when he adopted a policy of expansion, he said that Germany is for Germans. Either he has an option that he wants, or he allow the people to enter into Germany, or start a policy of expansion so that to reach to those people. And he adopted second approach. Clear? Means Hitler's attitude was like our attitude with the Pakistan. You have fake identity. You have fake identity. Pakistan. You are Indian only, because we share common things. Like what? Spitting on roads, making the roads dirty. Yes, common. Next, Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia. Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia, and this is also known as, this act is known as Munich Pact. Yes, and this was already discussed in last lecture, that Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia, what was the case at all and how it was so. Clear? Preeti said consolidation of German Empire. Is that clear? Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia. This point we already discussed in Nazism. Next, invasion of Poland, and that leads to beginning of World War II. So first Manchuria, second Germany's stand in 35-36, Italian invasion in Ethiopia, Spanish Civil War, Morocco Polo Breach, annexation of Austria, Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia, that is Munich Pact, and invasion of Poland. These are the events that leads to Second World War. And as I mentioned earlier in that lecture, Rise of Nazism, this Munich Pact, when it signed between Czechoslovakia and Germany. At that time, Western world threatened Germany, and they dropped the policy of appeasement. Clear? So now, when Western world dropped the policy of appeasement, that means there is a possibility of war, conflict in near future. Yes, is that clear to all of you? All these points? All these points are clear to all of you? Yes, any question, any doubt? Yes, is there any question, any doubt? Yes, do you have any question, or shall we move ahead? Yes, clear to all of you. Okay. The next important aspect of this session is impact of World War II. So as I mentioned lots of time, and still I'm going to tell you, because it's my habit, and why I'm doing so, because I don't want you to make a mistake in examination. And wherever you're going to read the word impact, your mind should be prepared like this: political impact, economic impact, and social impact. Socio-politico-economic impact. This thing should come into your mind when you're going to read impact. Clear, everyone? Now, the political impact. First, we are going to discuss the political impact. The political impact, most important, that is rise of USA and USSR as a superpower. This is the first political impact, most important political impact, because of First World War, Second World War, Britain and France became weak in all the aspects, and because of USA and USSR, France and Britain were in a position to emerge as a victor. So now the old guard is replaced with a new guard and rise of USA and USSR as a superpower in the world scene. That is the first political impact. Second political impact, beginning of Cold War. Why it is so? Because ideological differences between capitalism and communism. Capitalism was led by USA, communism was led by USSR. This is also an important impact of Second World War. Next, we mention division of Europe into East and West. How? First, division of Germany. West Germany, East Germany. The same way, division of Europe into two. That is West Europe, East Europe. And on the basis of ideology, West Europe follow capitalism and East Europe follow communism. Clear? So it is not just a division of Germany, it is a division of Europe as well. That is also another political impact. Next, decolonization of Asia and Africa. Most important. Why? Because their colonial masters were not in a position to continue their rule. That is the first reason. And second reason, that is colonial revolution, that is freedom struggle of those nations were at the peak, and now they are not going to listen to anyone. Along with that, the third important factor was that these superpowers asked these colonial masters to end the colonization. Okay, so these three factors important. They were not in a position to continue. Colonial revolution was at the peak, and USA and USSR asked them to vacate the colonies. Clear? Because they fought the war in the name of democracy, in the name of freedom. So ideological pressure was also there. Next, BOP shifted from Europe. Earlier, the balance of power was there in Europe. Now, Europe is not at all the power center. Then who is considered as a power center? This new BOP consists of USA and USSR. Gotcha? Yes, everyone? Got it? Yes. Is that clear to all of you? It's very simple. Very simple. So, why I insist you to think on these lines, political, social, economics, because when you're going to focus on one aspect, you will get more points. Yes, but when you're going to think on the same line, means it will be hodgepodge for you. Sometimes you remember this point from socialism, sorry, social point of view, sometimes political, sometimes economic, and hardly you are in a position to write 5 to 6 points. Clear? Okay. Yes, once again, I'm happy that you all get it, what I want to say. Next, economic impact. So, I ask you this question as I keep this slide blank. It is not the case that I don't know these points and I want to ask you. and write all these points. This is a kind of homework for you to find out the economic impact of Second World War. But before that, means you get time at your home, you can find out the answer for it. Here I want to ask you this thing. Guess what were the economic impact of Second World War? Just guess it. Right, wrong, doesn't matter. We will find out later on. What do you think the impact of Second World War? Economic impact. Just tell me two, three. That's it. That's enough. Yes, two, three. That's enough. No need to tell me 10, 15. I know you are having that capability that you can answer 10, 15 points here. But just 2, 3 points is sufficient for me. And fast. Common sense. Use your common sense and fast. Yes, waiting for your answers. Hmm. Just think about it. Or do you need more time? If you need more time, then you can think. We are going to discuss the another impact, that is social impact, if you require more time. Nope. Ashwini said Great Depression. It was not the case. Why? Because we learn from the mistake what we did in the First World War. Yes, of course, that is not that much impact. This is very common. Why we mention this point of economic depression after First World War? Because that time I mentioned with the star, that is problem of economic reconstruction. So such type of problem was not there in Second World War. Economic power shifted from Europe to USA. Anything? Can you think on normal lines? Yes, we mentioned about the political. It Narendra Kumar. It is said that shift of everything. Economic. Please focus on economic aspect of it. Let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing. Yes, vast devastation is there, of course, damage to infrastructure. These are whatever you're going to say. These are not at all important point. Always remember here you have to be specific. Whatever you mention, these points are like this. Whenever you don't have the points, you can write such points. Economic impact, establishment of World Bank and IMF. Don't you think so? It is impacting. Yes. World Bank and IMF. This is the economic impact of Second World War because we do not want to repeat the same mistakes which we made after First World War. Loss of life in the war led to less number of people in the working class. Okay, so now I get it. Now I get it. So it's your homework to find out the economic impact of Second World War. Clear? And if you're not getting, don't worry. In the next lecture, while recapping, when we have a quick recap of the last lecture, in that I'm going to mention 4 why economic impact of it. So before that, I hope you're going to read this particular topic from your books, and always refer book, not any textbook or notebook. Clear? Next, social impact. The social impact, this point is always common everywhere. Mass killing, mass killing, and adverse impact on demographic change. Mass killing and adverse effect on demographic change. That is an important aspect after every war, and this is the world war. Many countries involved in that, so there is a huge number of people died, crippled, disabled, and because of that demographic trends changes. This demographic change is also known as male-female ratio get disturbed. Clear? This point was common in First as well as in Second World War. Freedom of women. This is a most important aspect, and this aspect is related to both the war, but Second World War gave boost to the women liberation movement. How it is so? Let me explain. As the society was a patriarchal, so who is going to work? Men. In the patriarchal society, who is going to work? Men dominated. Men dominated. So men are going to work. Men are going to work. So men were the part of army as well. Yes. So in the army, they lost the life. First point, that is in World War First, huge number of male died. After 20 years, those who were young at that time, those who were children at that time, they are now become matured, and they all fought the war, and again huge number of people died. So in one go, two generation they lost. And you know what? Who dominate the society in patriarchal system? Men. Who restricted? Who is having problem with the women? Of course, men. Of course, men are having problem with them. How? Why you are wearing this dress? Why you are not wearing this that? Why you are wearing this color, that color? Why you are doing job? Why you want to become financially independent and all? So such type of questions are very common. These are the restriction imposed by the patriarchal society, and patriarchal society is dominated by men. And right now there is no men. So freedom of women is, means, as we always mention, blessing in disguise. It is the same thing. The worst thing happened, but now only women, means most of the population belongs to women only. And you know that if you want to run the state government or state administration, you require people, and right now there is no men. Either children were there or old age people were there. So this gave women an opportunity, and women grabbed this opportunity, and because of that only now we all are equal. We all are sitting together. We ask the women about their choices, and women have a right to express their views and opinion. So World War II is having this most important impact, that is liberation of women. Clear? And this liberation is not just restricted with the, what we can say, restricted to job only. This freedom was given in the form of dressing sense. They also changed their attire. Earlier they used gowns, gloves and all. Now women wear the comfortable clothes because they are working. They are not their home. So such type of changes was there because of Second World War. That is it. Third, mass killing put question mark over the religion. That is also the question mark over that, because if you love any religion or if you are a follower of any religion, then you know that all religions are talking about peace. But one more thing is there, in all the religions they have a sacred books. In that sacred books there are so many stories how God saved any particular person, how he avoid the conflict and all. So such kind of religious teachings are there in that book. So what happened when this war happened? Huge number of people killed, died, and they saw everything in front of their eyes. Earlier war situation was at border only, but this war is not restricted to borders only. This war they fought in their home as well. So they saw this horrifying thing, and now there is a question mark over the religion, question mark over the God, and because of that reason it fostered some atheist trends. Even people put question mark on the role of church. Clear this point? Yes. This is the third point we already mentioned. Next, growth of anti-war literature. It was a period between First and Second World War. There, people are fascinated with the idea of war. As we mentioned, fascist forces said that it's a natural duty of state to wage a war, to glorify the war. But when people saw the horrifying nature of the war, how there someone beloved person died in front of them or crippled, it was a very horrifying experience for them. So because of that time, there is a growth of anti-war literature. Clear? Clear this point to all of you? And whatever these points, most of you are not going to write. So that's why I purposely mentioned these points in the social impact. Next important thing, disillusionment of middle class. It is a wish of middle class. They always love war. Recently, if you think so, it is not true, then just see Indian society with the naked eyes. Right now, there is a very much scope for jingoism. And people said that no, there should be war. We have to attack this place, we have to attack that place and all. Why they are going to say that thing? Because they are not there. Ask the soldiers. Ask the soldier whether they love war. Of course, they are there to protect country. But war is a last resort. It should not be the first resort. Ask the family who lost their son, daughters in the war or in skirmishes. They don't want it. So, as it was a period, this the period between First and Second World War, the middle class were fascinated with the idea of war. But once their someone, beloved one, died in the war, there was a phase of disillusionment, and now they put question mark on efficacy of war, whether we really want war, whether we really want territory. So such type of question marks were there. So this is basically important point. Next, growth of education is also important point. This is the social aspect, growth of education, and no need to explain, because right now they didn't focus on primary education, they focused on higher education as well. Because if you are learned one, then you're going to ask the question, you're going to think rationally. So that's why they realizes these powers, political powers realizes there is a need to provide education, because at that time they considered with help of education people are going to be rational. They thought it's not a compulsory thing. They never ask you to be rational, but it is expected that if you are an educated person, you are a rational person. I didn't say anything. Next, growth of science and technology. That is also important impact of Second World War. How? How? Very best example is space science. Another example is nuclear science, modern machineries, modern equipments, bullet train, everything is there. So growth of science and technology is also an important impact of Second World War. No need to explain. I don't think so. There is need to explain this point. As Ashwini and Akash said, establishment of United Nations. This is the political point. Yes, the political impact of it. Clear? So here we are very specific to social impact. Means it is just like I ask your name and you said that I am not hungry. It's not the case. The question is related to you, so you have to answer about that question. So here also the same case. I ask you the social impact, so we have to stick to this point. Next, attack on racist approach. How it is so? It is important aspect. As you know, there was a difference between black and whites. This difference was very common, and this was not just difference, it is a basically discrimination. But this Second World War ended this discrimination. Why? Because initially those who joined armies, they were the whites. They killed. So black also recruited in that. They also fought a war with white people, and you know that. And you know that. I said that UN, when you mention United Nations, it is basically the political impact because it is the political body. Means basically economic body. We mention World Bank, IMF. They are more specific to that. Okay. So what was the case? That whites were having prejudices with the black. Why? Because they never interacted with each other. But once they part of army, once they live together, they realizes this discrimination is based on false assumption. So because of that reason, this discrimination ended. So basically it was attack on racist approach. The racist approach was there, so it was an attack on that. So this point is clear to all of you. Next, beginning of new era of human rights. Beginning of new era of human rights as establishment of United Nations, UNHRCT, United Nations Human Rights Commission. That is also an important aspect, a social aspect of it, and no need to explain that as well. A next important concept is related to World War, that is total war. Total war. How this war is considered as a total war. World War One and World War Two considered as a total war. How it is so? This term was coined by German military general in 1918, means just after First World War. But Second World War was there, and after Second World War, they realizes that means they added the point of Second World War in there. So the concept of total war. So what exactly the concept of total war is there? First point, it involves entire nation and national life. What was the case earlier? Only army was fighting. Now entire nation is fighting and national life in involved in that. So that is the difference between old war and this concept of total war. Next, it involves the mass mobilization of resources. That is important thing. Mass mobilization of resources. Next, Earlier, war was fought between army to army, and army and their official soldiers played important role. Means this role of war tactic was restricted to army personnel. But what was the case in total war? In this war, along with the army, professionals also involved. Doctors, engineers, scientists. Means how engineers involved. Engineers built the bridges within a short interval of time. Even the scientists invented a new instrument. For example, very best example of it is biological weapons, chemical weapons. Engineers, the technology, this missiles and all, radar technology and all, doctors, they find out various medicines and all. This all contributed in that they all are together with the army while designing the war policy. Clear? Next, shift from traditional weapons to the modern. Traditional weapons like gun, bombs, etc. Modern weapons, nuclear weapon, chemical weapon, and biological weapon. Yes, and we uses that. Okay. Next, total war represented new capabilities. Means the earlier war was basically related with the army. Now new capabilities, that is use of aeroplane, use of submarines in the war, that is another aspect of it. Next, it gave birth to the problem of stateless people. This is the most important thing. Stateless people. A very best example is Rohingya. Yes, stateless people means because of earlier, what was the case earlier when war happened? People become homeless because they have to leave their home and they are going to settle into other area, and after end of war they are going to come. But now, because of this war, this first and second world war, change in the map, change in the maps change, and along with that the concept of nation state emerged. And this concept of nation state, withdrawal of national boundary was there, and because of that reason, those who are living into that particular area, they lost their identity as citizen in one go. Yesterday only, when we discussed the IR lecture, at that time I mentioned that Tamilians lost their citizenship with the one go. So such type of events were common after this total war. So this total war concept is related to these points. Okay, and the last thing that is also a homework for you, that is responsibility of Germany in the Second World War. This also we are going to discuss in the next lecture. Responsibility of Germany, whether Germany was sole responsible for it, whether Germany was not at all responsible for it, or what's the reality. So we are going to discuss this thing in the next lecture. So that's all for today's lecture, and those who want to join me, then they can join me on my my Telegram channel at Unacademy _ Harshvardhan. We are going to meet at 11 o'clock for IR lecture, and today we are having two special classes. One is at 6 o'clock. You will get the link and description on this Telegram channel, Unacademy _ Harshvardhan, as well as we have a special class on world history at 9 o'clock in the evening. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you very much for your valuable time. If you are having any question, any query, media platforms. Thank you very much.